I need you to write me a screenplay about this, and I am going to make it into a feature film. Hello. Today we are going to be discussing Orson Welles and William Randolph Hearst. William Randolph Hearst was the biggest media mogul in America. 3 out of 5 people read a Hearst paper. He had owned 25% of the world's most valuable art. The second biggest private zoo in the world. He had started to build San Simeon. The property was like half the size of Rhode Island, man. Not his wife, but this woman, Marion Davies. Next thing you know, she's living in San Simeon, loving it. Meanwhile, Orson Welles, a boy genius prodigy, had just done War of the Worlds. Orson would say things like, "Tonight at 7:52 p.m., we spotted a craft entering Earth's atmosphere. It lands on the White House lawn. Yes, yes." Hollywood came a-knocking. And they said, "Orson, babe, what do you want, babe? You want a 3-picture deal? We don't say a word? All the money you want, babe? Done. Greenlit, done, deal." Orson's having some late night, probably hammered cocktails with a one Herman Mankiewicz, screenwriter. And Mankiewicz all of a sudden starts going like, "Yeah, I was at San Simeon the other week." And Orson's like, "You have inside info in like juicy tidbits of what's happening at the Hearst Castle?" He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Oh, I have an inside guy. Do tell. Do tell. I party there regularly. I'm having drinks, smoking cigs, drinking champagne, having delicious appetizers with Marion Davies and Dougie Fairbanks and all those people. Loving it." He's witnessing this stuff firsthand. Hold on. Sorry, whiskey bird. Oh. But then Hearst would leave these parties and go out and spread all his newspapers out and just lord over his powers like, "I control media, which controls the world. I am God." And Orson goes, "Stop. I need you to write me a screenplay about this, and I am going to make it into a feature film." Deal was made. Orson Welles knew that we need to kind of keep this top secret and keep it under wraps because of Hearst. Mankiewicz would pound out the pages. Orson Welles kept on reading this stuff. He's like, "This is amazing screenwriting. This is gonna be the best movie ever. Like, I'm making a kick-ass movie, man. Capiche?" He wrote, produced, directed, he starred in it. When the movie was complete, the most powerful gossip columnist at the time, she said to Hearst, "They made Marion Davies look like a complete floozy, horrible person." I mean, the whole movie was basically trashing the Hearst name. Hearst hears about this and he sees red. He starts threatening any newspaper out there. If you put a review, if you put an ad out for this, you're done. He told every movie theater, "If you run this movie, we will never place an ad for one of your films ever again." So, what was I talking about?
Citizen Kane?
That was very general. So, RKO called Orson Welles at 2 in the morning and said, "Orson, no one is going to show your film." "Wonderful. Show it intense. Put up a quote that says, 'The movie that no one will let you see.'" As fate would have it, Orson and William Randolph Hearst were in the same elevator. Welles and Hearst never look at each other. Orson says, "So, Mr. Hearst, did you see my film?" He said, "No, and I never will. And he said, Kane would have seen it. Kane would have seen the film. It got nominated for 9 Academy Awards. They won 1 Oscar for Best Screenplay. William Randolph Hearst hated, loathed, and wanted to crush the movie. But that's where his legacy is remembered, as Kane is a great movie, dude. It is haunting, and there's nothing like that movie at all. There's nothing will ever be like the movie. There's such a wonderful thing. I love it. And he also did the voice in the Transformers movie.
Hello, I'm Drew Droege. Hello, I'm Drew Droege, and today we are discussing Dog Day Afternoon, the real story.
Ruff, ruff.
Ruff, ruff. It's 1971, and there's this guy named John Wadowitz. He's a man about town. He's like, I'm the shit. He's at the Feast of San Gennaro in Little Italy, and he meets this person named Elizabeth, and they're like, hey, wow. And they're like, hey, we're at the Feast of San Gennaro in Little Italy. Let's have cannoli and ziti and let's live life. So John and Elizabeth are in love with each other, but Elizabeth says, I'm actually a trans woman. And John is like, I'm cool with that. That's wonderful, that makes sense. So they got married in an unofficial ceremony in the village. They're like, I'm in love with you. Oh my God, I'm in love with you. And Elizabeth is like, I need sexual reassignment surgery. This costs $3,000. And John says, we don't have $3,000. In 2019, this drink costs $3,000.
Yeah, let's drink it.
Cheers. So Elizabeth slips into a deep depression, and she goes into a mental hospital, and she's removed from John, and he misses her, and he says, I want my wife. I want love of my life. I'm gonna give her a sexual reassignment surgery. I'm gonna get that money for her. I'm gonna rob a bank. I'm robbing a bank. So John recruits Salvatore Naturale and Robert Westenberg, and then they go see The Godfather, and The Godfather obviously was starring Al Pacino and John Cazale. The Godfather got them going. They're like, let's be criminals like the Corleones. They realize like, we're gonna need some guns. So they get the guns together. The first bank they go to is on the Lower East Side. They get to the bank, they drop a shotgun. It goes off. Kaboof! They're like, guys, everything's fine. We just dropped a shotgun. It blew up. We're people. Let's just be people. But we gotta go to another bank. The next one's in Queens. They get out of the car. They immediately run into their mom's best friend, who's like, Salvatore, what's going on? How are you? John, nice to see you. What are you two boys doing together? And then they were thinking, oh my God, it's our mother's best friend. We gotta get out of here. Fangool. That's from Greece. They finally get to the Chase Manhattan in Brooklyn, but Robert Westenberg sees a cop car outside and gets spooked and he leaves. So it's just John and Sal that go into the bank. And they go in, John yells, freeze, this is a holdup, I'm not alone. They pass the teller a note that says, put all your money in a bag or we're gonna start shooting people. This is an offer you can't refuse. And John's like, it's from The Godfather. It's our favorite movie. John and Sal, they're about to leave when a bunch of cop cars pull up. John was like, you know what? We're gonna keep everybody in this bank hostage. Boom. This leads to a 14-hour hostage standoff. They're fumbling, bumbling. The tellers are just freaking out. They're not hardened criminals. They don't really know what they're doing. Elizabeth asks John to stand down. Ultimately, Sal was killed and they arrest John. So, if you've seen the movie, this is where it ends. But there's more to this story. So John goes to prison and he's like, oh, I went through all this and still my wife can't get what she needs. But a year later, Hollywood producers come into his jail cell. He's like, who the fuck are you guys? What's going on here? And they're like, we are Hollywood producers. We have a Hollywood movie we would like to make about you. We're gonna give you $7,500 and a 1% profit share for your story. And he's like, it's enough money for Elizabeth's sex change. And that's the whole reason I got into this.
Aww.
I feel wasted. Anyway, in 1975, Sidney Lumet directs Dog Day Afternoon. It makes $46 million. It gets 6 Oscar nominations and wins for Best Original Screenplay. And it stars Al Pacino and John Cazale.
Wow.
In prison, he gets the nickname The Dog. Elizabeth visits him once a month. Elizabeth gets her sex change. She was like, honey, I love you and thank you. John is in prison for 6 years. John gets out of prison and he eventually sees Dog Day Afternoon. And he's like, holy shit, this is Al Pacino playing me. And John Cazale is playing Sal. These are the people that I watched in The Godfather playing me in the movie. How crazy is that? So John and Elizabeth eventually separate after a while, but they remain friends. It's ultimately a story about an individual who sacrificed everything that he was to help someone else.
Love you, too.
Love you too, Derek.
Yeah.
Toujours l'amour.
Is that Dog Day Afternoon in Spanish? I love you.
I love you too, Derek.
Tonight. Hi, my name is Annie Eastfairther, and tonight I'm gonna tell you the story, the true story behind A League of Their Own. Cheers.
Cheers.
We start a story with Marge and Helen Callahan, 2 sisters growing up in Vancouver, Canada. These 2 women are natural athletes. They're so f***ing sick and tight, and they're like, yeah, we joined a fast pitch softball league together. Okay, so now we're gonna fast forward a little bit to 1942. We're in the midst of World War II, and the draft is going on full force. Now this guy, the commissioner of the MLB, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Ugh, I hate saying that name. He's like, I'm the numero uno commissioner of Major League and Minor League Baseball. And while I'm calling the shots, everyone's being drafted into World War II. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna put my big boy pants on, I'm gonna figure this out. He calls Philip K. Wrigley. Philip K. Wrigley is like, chomp chomp, hello. And Kennesaw Mountain Landis is like, oh my man, 3,000 minor league players, major league players are gone to war. So Philip K. Wrigley is like, okay, I've got an idea for you. We are gonna capitalize on the popularity of women's softball. Badass women. And it's like the 40s, right? That's a crazy time to do this. So Philip K. Wrigley and his buddy Ken Sells go out scouting all throughout the Midwest. Lo and behold, who do they run into but Helen and Marge Callahan?
What are they doing there?
They are playing fast pitch softball. And Helen and Marge are like, we're dominating this field. Philip and Ken run out to this. They run out to the field and they're like, you, the both of you, we need you both. You gotta be on our f***ing team. And they sign on the dotted line at $75 a week. So they're both on the Minneapolis Marionettes. No, Millerettes. So Marge and Helen are like, we're on this team. This is f***ing tight. They're playing double headers in like 115-degree weather. And Philip K. Wrigley is like, I know how to sell a product. And I need these women to look like women. These chaperones are like, I am going to make sure that their hair is curled, their lipstick is on, their makeup is fully done, their skirts are ironed before they head out onto the field People are full to watch these women in these adorable dresses play f***ing baseball like men. And Marge Callahan, Helen Callahan are knocking this shit out of park. Women are stealing bases. They're like, what's up, mother? I don't know why that's funny, but it's funny. Now, Philip K. Wrigley looks at this and he's like, these aren't women playing baseball. These are f***ing baseball players. Yeah, dude. It's so badass, right?
This is my 7th inning stretch.
This is mine.
All right, let's play ball.
Yeah. Okay. So 1945 comes, right? And World War II is ending. Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, the major and minor league players come back and they're like, hi, everybody. Yeah, we've been in f***ing war. It's terrible. We're ready to hit some balls. So and it ends up fizzling out. 30 years passes and this story is forgotten until 1985. There was a reunion. Helen Calandelays. This is harder now than it was earlier.
But you're still doing it.
Kelly Candelay, Helen's oldest son, was like, I'm gonna f***ing record this shit. He whips out his camcorder and all these old ladies are f***ing playing ball like they did back in the f***ing 40s. Kelly Candelay creates a League of Their Own documentary. It's a huge f***ing deal. And Penny Marshall sees this documentary. She's like, what the f***? I didn't know this shit existed in history. Oh, maybe I should make a movie about this story because it's important for women of all ages. And if it wasn't for a League of Their Own, nobody would have ever known that women can throw a ball like the f***ing men.